Yemeni-Saudi employment relations date back to decades, with thousands of Yemenis being encouraged to go to Saudi Arabia for work. There are about 2 million Yemeni expatriates working in Saudi Arabia. Thousands of those are highly qualified and have been working in education, medicine, and other professions across the kingdom. However, Riyadh seems to have moved recently to dismiss these Yemeni nationals, forcing them to leave the country.
الحادث اللي حدث مؤلم جدا لجميع السعوديين.
The Saudis' recent move will impact the Yemenis in the kingdom, as well as millions of their family members back in Yemen who depend on remittances to survive. The decline in remittances will certainly worsen the humanitarian crisis and social instability already caused by the Saudi-led campaign against Yemen. The Geneva-based SAM Organization for Rights and Liberties has warned that the consequences of the current decision mean more people lose their source of livelihood at a time when Yemen is witnessing a sharp decline in economic and social indicators.
Millions of the Yemenis were working in Saudi Arabia. Not only hundreds of thousands. Yemenis are really hard workers, and of course they have this problem of the Saudis showing off and using them as, let's just say, as slaves between brackets of the Yemenis. But now the Saudis are really denying all the good deeds of the Yemenis and trying to punish them for their trying to preserve their identity and preserve their existence.
A leaked classified document that urged business owners in the Saudi governorates of Jazan, Asir, Al-Baha, and Najran, all located in the south, to fire Yemeni workers, cancel their residences, and deport them within a 4-month period. Sources working at Saudi universities suggest that this plan has started to be implemented in the southern cities of Saudi Arabia. It is estimated that if the decision is fully implemented, more than 700,000 Yemenis will be expelled from southern Saudi provinces.
The Yemenis have the right to be there, to work in order to earn their livelihood without any political or cultural despotism from the Saudis. Now, I guess we are in a very critical situation, very critical moment in the relation between the Saudis and all the Yemenis and even the people who live in Arabia Peninsula. And I guess the international community should intervene in order to protect the personal freedom and liberty and work according to the international law.
Meanwhile, a Saudi analyst who spoke on condition of anonymity said the move aimed to free up jobs for Saudi citizens in the south as part of efforts to tackle Saudi unemployment, which stands at 11.7%. Saudi Arabia has always used deporting Yemeni workers as a tool to pressure the Yemeni nation whenever it wishes. During Saudi Arabia's oil-driven economic boom of the 1970s and 1980s, Yemenis provided much of the labor that helped build the kingdom. But when Yemen didn't support the Saudis' stand on the U.S.-led coalition to drive Iraqi forces out of Kuwait in 1991, Riyadh retaliated by revoking the visa exemption and expelling an estimated 1 million Yemeni workers.
We know that the Yemenis were working in Saudi Arabia before this aggression, and we know that the Yemenis have shared a lot and really paid a lot of work in order to build Saudi Arabia, even before what so-called Saudi Arabia of today from 1932, last century. So now the Saudis are returning the good deeds of the Yemenis in order to torture them.
The number of Yemenis working in the kingdom slowly increased in the following decades. But since the 2011 uprisings in the Arab world, and particularly in recent years, Riyadh has stepped up a campaign to nationalize its workforce by making harder for expatriates to work in the kingdom. For example, Riyadh has raised the fees charged for Yemenis, making it prohibitively expensive for some to live in Saudi Arabia.
When you are using these people, of course, the Saudis want these Yemenis to collaborate with them in order to work with them against their people in Yemen and try to muster them, bring them to be soldiers in their battle against the people of Yemen, and that they would not agree on paying homage to the Wahhabi and Saudi what so-called kingdom in order to serve their interests, finally the American interests and the Zionists' interests. The Yemenis, they would not do that.
Yet according to the Sana'a Center, Riyadh's new policy is not just about the Saudiization of its workforce, but is also a punitive measure specifically against Yemenis, as many rely on financial support from relatives working in the kingdom.
I guess trying to find a pretext for this kind of procedures in Saudi Arabia against the Yemenis, they would not do that against the Indians or the Pakistanis. Why? They are doing that against the Yemenis. Because we see that the Saudis are to exploit this politically and culturally, and putting this pretext would not be useful for their doing good relations with the Yemenis. History would be full of feuds, if we could say, because the Saudis are opening the way or pave the way for all kinds of struggles.
They hope it'll pressure them into siding against the Ansarullah movement, which has been the major force standing against the Saudi-led invasion.
I guess they are trying to tell the government in Sana'a that we will do all the bad things against the Yemenis in Saudi Arabia in order to accept what so-called Riyadh initiative. But the Yemenis would not accept any kind of agreement or any kind of declaration against their will and against their interest. And they know now, the Saudis, they know that the Yemenis are strong. They can really attack them and they can retaliate. And the many battles the Saudis lost in the battlefield. And of course, now the Yemenis are moving in another phase to attack them inside Saudi Arabia.
The Saudi-led military intervention, which started in 2015, set off an abrupt economic collapse. The Yemeni rial declined in value, and basic commodity prices shot upwards. As a result, the Yemenis lost their livelihoods and purchasing power, the main driver of the country's humanitarian crisis. One of the few mitigating factors to prevent the crisis from becoming far worse has been the money Yemenis abroad send home every year. The Saudi kingdom's actions against the Yemeni expats are nothing less than an extension of the war against the Yemeni nation as a whole, which has now moved into Saudi soil.